God bless you. Thank you again once more for connecting with us. Ecclesiastes chapter 9. We're looking at the very last passage of this chapter, and then we will then proceed into chapter 10 of Ecclesiastes. I'm hoping that our little walk, our little journey together through this book, and even with Solomon, I hope you come to know Solomon a little bit more. Yes, I know he's dead. I'm not imagining him at all. I'm not thinking that he's sitting beside me and I speak to him every now and again. No, I haven't gone that way as yet, not yet anyway. But in a walk through the Song of Solomon and then through Ecclesiastes, if you put the two books together, I believe it gives an outline of who the man was. Yes, limited in the description of Solomon, yes, of the man. But as we have taken, the time, as you may have taken the time, and you may have read it already. You may have done further study, deeper study, sometime before now, at least, or you have the intention of doing a study on Solomon way after this, and you know, I'm hoping that if you do whichever way you take, that what we have mentioned, I would say just mentioned in our journey from chapters 1 through to 9, that it has only confirmed what you have studied or read before, and not only confirmed, but it would have also opened other doors into the man Solomon. We know that his father was David. We know that probably he was the youngest of the sons, and even his brothers. There should have been an older brother who should have taken over in his father's stead, but that was not the case. You know the story of David, I'm quite sure. I don't have to tell you of David and his sons. But it so happened that Solomon was born to David, probably in David's twilight years. And even as Solomon took over the kingdom and sat on the throne of his father David, that was even a little turbulence with him taking over. But Solomon had to prove himself. Solomon had to prove himself to be wise. And when he asked of the Lord to help him to be wise and to have understanding and wisdom and knowledge to aid him in ruling God's people well, the Lord was, I believe, God. We're gone. Nothing takes God by surprise. Nothing takes God by surprise at all. And I do, and I'm sure you do know also that God knew what Solomon was going to ask for. However, Solomon took the initiative, and he didn't ask for riches. He didn't ask for a long life, did he? God blessed him with the request of riches, but he asked for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And that is what we also ought to ask for the Lord as we live our own individual lives. You where you are, and me where I am. Not only to aid and abet us, but also to bring glory to Him. I think that is embedded within the book of Ecclesiastes. And Solomon found that out, I believe, to his cost, because we know that the life of Solomon was not perfect. He veered off in his life to please himself and to do what he thought was best, not only for himself, which I am sure he thought very much of, but um, he did what he could also for the kingdom and for others that were around him in helping him to be remembered. But obviously, in his later life, we do see, and there are indications as we go through this particular book, that he thought more of God, and he saw and he recognized the mistakes that he had made in his younger years. And he's just encouraging those that were with him, his younger peers, and even his children. He must have had truckloads of children with the wives and the women that he had around him. We know that one particular son, though, could have been his oldest son, Rehoboam, who took over from him to reign and to rule in instead of his father and grandfather David. But he wanted to leave a legacy of righteousness, of godliness. And I think that's why he's written and left what he has left for us, that we, you and I, also live lives to please the Lord, to please the Lord, to acknowledge God. In this particular passage, verses 11 through to 18, which will bring chapter 9 to a close, uh, he's leaving with us a very, very important warning. Is it a warning or words? Words are evading me at the moment, and probably the proper title to put there. But he's saying to us that life is totally unpredictable. You cannot predict from one day to the next what's going to happen. Even though we can make plans for this day, many of us, many of you, I certainly have probably made plans for the day in which I'm living right now. I'm going to be doing A, B, C, D, and E. We can all say that, but when the day does come, sometimes we have to go to E and work our way back to A. And because we're having to do that or mix everything else or mix up the whole A to E strategy, sometimes the day does not work out the way in which we are happy. Sometimes we may be very happy with the way how things have worked, even though it hasn't gone the way or in the direction we wanted to. Or we are totally disappointed with how the day has turned out because it has not gone the way we expected. Life is unpredictable. Where you have reached in life 10 years ago, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago to where you are now, you didn't know that you would be where you are now. You thought of something quite different when you started. But because of the unpredictable or the unpredictability of life, you are where you are. But in all of this, Solomon is saying that we must give God thanks. We must worship Him. We must worship Him. So, as Solomon searched for true happiness, he became keenly aware of the fact that must be heeded by all of us, no matter how hard we work, no matter how skilled we may be, there are no guarantees to success. There's no guarantee. And some have learned that lesson harshly, and some have not well have learned that lesson, but it's been quite easy for them. Been quite easy. Let's read these verses here. I believe there are 8 verses. Verse 11 of chapter 9 of Ecclesiastes. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare. So are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. This wisdom have I seen also under the sun, and it seemed great unto me. There was a little city, and a few men within it, and there came a great king against it, and besieged it, and built great bulwarks against it. Now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. Yet no man remembered the same poor man. Then said I, wisdom is better than strength. Nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The words of a wise man, or the words of wise men, are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Sinner destroyeth much good. Verses 11 through to 18. Yet another thing have I observed under the sun, is that races aren't won by swift or battles by the strong, and that food doesn't go to the wise, or wealth to the intelligent, or favor to the experts. Rather, time and chance rules them all. Can I read that verse again? There is some truth in that, and I believe that we ought to really be mindful, as I said before, be mindful of what we read and think deeply. Yet another thing I observed under the sun is that races aren't won by the swift or battles by the strong, and that food doesn't go to the wise or wealth to the intelligent or favor to the experts. Rather, time and chance rule them all. For people don't know when their time will come any more than fish taken in the fatal net or birds caught in a snare. Similarly, people are snared at an unfortunate time when suddenly it falls on them. Here is something else I've seen as wisdom under the sun, and it seemed important to me. There was a small town with a few people in it, and a great king came to attack it. He surrounded it and built massive siege works against it. Now there was found in it a man who was poor but wise, and by his wisdom he saved the city. Yet afterwards, nobody remembered that poor man. So, although I say that wisdom is better than strength, nevertheless, the poor man's wisdom is despised. Nobody pays attention to what he says. A wise man speaking quietly is more worth heeding than the shouts of a ruler commanding fools. Verse 18. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but a person who makes a mistake can destroy much good. Can I read verse 18 again? Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but a person who makes a mistake can destroy much good. So here we're seeing that life, as we're told, life is totally unpredictable. There are two areas in this chapter, or sorry, in this passage, that Solomon wants us to take note of. One, abilities that one has does not guarantee success. Abilities are not a guarantee of success. And he uses within that, he uses several things to show speed, strength, wisdom, skill. Uh, he's saying here that these things do not guarantee success at all. Why? And there are reasons why. The limitations of time, the unanticipated death that comes to all, and the unexpected or catastrophic events can affect success. I'm sure in your journey through life, you'll see many, many examples of that where there have been individuals who, before them in their life, success was for them. Whatever they put their hands to, you could see that wealth and opportunities will just come their way. But again, because of what comes their way, the unpredictability of life, just either through death, through illness, sickness, whatever comes their way, has totally taken them by chance, and they're not successful at all in what they were involved in. Sad, isn't it? Ability of individuals, they are not, is not a guarantee at all. The second point that the king, the preacher, the teacher wants to leave with you, with us today, is that wisdom and accomplishment are not a guarantee of success. Just because you may be wise, or just because wisdom is around you, does not mean, it doesn't guarantee that you will have success in your life. Doesn't mean that at all. And there are two areas within this. One, he uses as an example of a wise man. A small city was attacked. A poor man was in that city, but he was wise. And he suggested a brilliant military strategy. And he saved the city. That is what the scriptures tell us. That's what Solomon says. He saves the city. But after he saved the city, he was soon forgotten. He was wise, but he was not successful. Successful in that he saved the city, but nobody remembered him after that. The second point that Solomon the teacher is also pointing out to us is that wisdom and accomplishment can be despised and go unrewarded. Two, wisdom expressed quietly is more powerful than the shouts of foolish leaders. And the third point in the second lesson here, in the second area, is that wisdom is powerful, but one sinner can counteract much of the good that the wise do. The sinner, the unrepentant, the wicked, the actions of the wicked can counteract much of the good that you as an individual in situation, let us say, can totally turn your wisdom or your thoughts upside down. And that's what it says here in verse 18. A person who makes a mistake can destroy the good and can destroy much, much good. In our day and time, we do really need wise, godly individuals, godly people, godly men, godly women who are wise, who have understanding and wisdom and knowledge to navigate the waters that we're in right now. I use the word waters, even though we don't live in water, but I use waters which can be very unpredictable. And even though they may be calm on top, but below the surface, there's an undercurrent there that will sweep you away and drown you, completely destroy your life. And we do need godly, wise individuals, godly men and women of understanding and of knowledge, so as how we, you, and others ought to proceed upon the waters of life that are and that is very, very unpredictable. Are you the wise, the poor individual but wise man? Or are you the king that's coming to attack the city, but yet, or are you the one within the city? Because remember, it was a great king that came to attack the city, and there was a poor man, but, but within the city that nobody really took any notice of. He gave wise counsel. The city, the city heard him, but the poor wise man delivered the city. But after that, they forgot about him. Or are you one within the city that is quite influential, wealthy? Everybody hears you, they see you. You're very bright. You you've got all what it takes really to be successful, but you're not wise. You're not wise at all. You have a form of godliness or a form of wisdom, a form of understanding, or a form of knowledge. You've got quite a few people who walk around bragging. They brag about themselves. They talk very much about themselves. They project themselves, but yet all what they do, it completely destroys, if I can use the term, the city, because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. There is no wisdom at all in their lifestyle. Are we that type of individual? I don't think we should be. If we are godly and if we live righteously in this present world and we are looking to God for our help and our support, my friends, I believe that God will help us, that we will give wise words and good words of knowledge and of understanding, words of counsel. We need to be men, we need to be individuals who can sit at the gate of the city. They may not know who you are. You may not hold any high office as such within the city or within the area that you live. People may not even take any notice of you. You may have a very quiet or small voice within the city, within the community. Okay, when you speak, when you share, God is really speaking through you. And so you then say it. There needs to be such individuals in the world that will. And I believe that is what Solomon saw even in his day. There were many men who tried to show themselves to him that they were as wise and as knowledgeable as he was. And probably he kept some very wise individuals around him. Yes. But he also knew who were not wise, who were not at all knowledgeable or men of understanding. You've got to know who you're dealing with. You've got to know the people who are around you. You have to. Anyway, continue to read the scriptures. Read again Ecclesiastes chapter 10, chapter 9, please. Read that chapter again. Become familiar with what Solomon here, the preacher, the wise man, the teacher, is saying, and see if you, I will certainly be doing it also, but see what areas of this we can hide within our heart, within our lives, what we ourselves could do for us in order to be wise and knowledgeable and men and people of great understanding in the world in which we live, because this world certainly needs men and women of understanding, of knowledge,